Hi guys, and welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to be showing you guys a fun way to use up file folders, and here are the ones I am using. File folders are not necessary for this, but are super fun, and a fun way to use up pockets as well. The pockets are also not necessary. You can kind of take this idea and run with it with whatever supplies you already have. I also have this double-sided piece of paper, 110-pound cardstock, that I'm going to be using. Here was my prototype. I made a video for other social media platforms while creating this, and I love how it turned out. It is super cute. I did not love the front. I was kind of disappointed in, I don't know, just the colors were not very cohesive. So I'm going to redeem myself today and create something a little bit better. But it was my prototype, so it's all good. All right, and one more thing is I am using the 2025 June kit, Rosewood Estate. And if you want this kit, there's two different ways you can get it. You can become a subscriber or you can just buy it flat out. More information on how to do that will be in the description of this video for you guys. Without further ado, let's jump in and have a really good time together. Alright, let's jump into the tutorial. So, like I said, I have a double-sided piece of paper. I just printed two different sides that I thought coordinated well color-wise with the file folders and the pockets that I'm going to be using today. So, one thing you can do is you can use your file folder or whatever you want on the front of your little flip-flap. You can use that as a guide to create the size of paper that you need. So I went ahead and kept a little border around my file folder and then just cut it. You can also use the pockets on the inside as your template, so to speak, if you would like. But I just used the front file folder and that worked out really good. You do want to make sure that your file folder and your pockets are similar in size so that they don't have to get cut up too much when you are doing this project, and you'll kind of see a little bit more about why later. Now I'm going ahead and grabbing my scoring board. You can just fold your piece of paper. A scoring board is just a little bit extra, and I'm just deciding where I want my flap to be folding down, and I just chose a spot I thought looked good. Depending on what supplies you're using, this is going to look different for everybody at every step, so just go with your instinct and what you think looks aesthetic. Next up, we are going to just crease that edge, get it nice and flat and bendable, and then it's likely that you're going to end up with an extra strip of paper at the bottom. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it off, and I did my very best here. And you can set that scrap aside for a different project. I love saving my scraps. But for this specific case, I actually thought it would be really cute to add kind of like this kind of florally paper as a belt across. And I decided I wanted it under my file folder just because I love the cover of this file folder and I didn't want to cover it with anything. So this is what I'll be doing with mine. In the meantime, I did ink that little belt as well as the rest of my little, I don't know what we want to call it. I guess it's just a card. I inked my card, the inside and the outside as well. And it's just cute and simple. I love inking. It's very relaxing to me. And it's very cute. After that was all said and done, I grabbed my art glitter glue that I have in this adorable little bottle. And I'm just gluing on that belt. Sometimes I'm a little bit lazy with my gluing, and I feel like I've been slipping down that rabbit hole lately. So I don't know if you guys want to follow in my footsteps or try and be better, but I have become just a tad bit lazy. And next up for this little part, I want to add something onto the tab of this file folder, and so I had a really fun idea. I'm going to add an eyelet and a charm. All I did was punch a hole into the top of my file folder tab and grab some of my favorite string. I did end up forgetting the eyelet, which was silly of me, but that is okay. And then I tucked the end of the string through the hole, added a charm on, as you can see here, and then put the two loose ends through the loop and pulled, and it actually creates just this really easy, effortless look that is really cute. I should stop using the word cute because somebody commented on one of my videos, made me laugh. Like, it was like 20 synonyms for cute, and they literally commented 20 different words I could use instead of cute. So I think that was their subtle way of telling me I use that word too much. So I've tried to be better, but it is hard to think on the fly sometimes of good words to use. But this tag is adorable, don't you think? It is precious and cutesy. I guess that's not okay. I'll be done now. For this next step, I just glued the entirety of this file folder down onto the front. I know a lot of you guys are super creative and could also use the file folder as a pocket of sorts, so you could leave that open if you want. I just glued the whole thing down. And here's what we have so far. I'm going to add a few more things onto the front, but for now, let's take a look at the inside and see what we're going to add in here. For the inside, I am going to be using another file folder as well as these two pockets. And my pockets have a little bit of overhang, so I will have to be trimming those up. But this is the general layout that I am choosing to do. I am leaving that side I specified open so I can actually tuck a tag or a piece of ephemera into it later. So I'm just going to be gluing the three sides, leaving that fourth side open to create a pocket. Again, this is super customizable, so you can do what feels right or work with the pieces that you have to create something beautiful. In addition, I'm doing the exact same thing, and these are actually meant to be pockets, so you just leave the fourth side open, and I'm putting mine about almost the midway point, and then adding my second one on, and I'm lining it up with the bottom of the flip flap. And essentially, that is the finished base of my folio, just the kind of the template for where I'm gonna go next. So first things first is I need to trim up these edges. My pockets were a little wide for my overall look, so I'm gonna trim those up and go from there. I'm just gonna use scissors instead of my zippy cutter because I think I can cut kind of straight. Not as straight as my zippy cutter. My paper cutter, but I think I can do a decent job. And the back side of this folio is actually going to get glued down for me, so I'm not going to embellish any of it. That's why that one side is blank. But I'm going to touch up the edges with some ink and move on to our next step. From this point in the video, I kind of just have a good time and decide what little features I want to add to embellish. So I added some stickers from our Rosewood Estate collection that released this month. They've been selling really well, so I don't know if there'll be any more in stock, but if so, I will link them in the description. I added a few other things, and this is my final cover for this cute little flip-flap. And time to work on the inside. I knew I wanted to add a tag under my file folder, so I found one that looked good with the front and the back, and I actually ended up putting this side towards the front and the green side towards the back. Super cute. Simply just punched out a hole and inked, and then it was pretty much good to go, and I could add that under my file folder. I also thought a charm or some string or something like that would be really cute in a spot like this because it would just dangle and hang really nice, and you'd be able to display your charm or whatever. The current paper collection I am working with has some really adorable postage pieces and ephemera, so I wanted to use those in these pockets. So I kind of just played around with what I thought looked cute, finding the best color combos, and ultimately just decided with some pretty neutral stuff and of course, some flowers. I love the fussy cut flowers in this collection, so I try to incorporate them into literally every project I've done so far. And then on the front here, I made a ruler, just kind of another belt look, I guess. I've really been liking those. I also added on this cute bird fussy cut because I've been loving these as well. And I changed up some of the fussy cuts. I added a different fussy cut into that back pocket. And finally added just a few fun details onto the front of that file folder right there. I actually made that little fussy cut a pocket, a little tuck spot, just for the fun of it. And then I also added on this, I had this little scrap piece of paper, folded it, and made it into a little tab for this tag. I'm trying to pronounce that so you guys can hear what I'm saying. And added a little hole in it, and I thought it turned out super cute, kind of rustic and fun. So here is the finished result. I love it, and there's so many different directions you can take it depending on what papers you decide to use and all the embellishments, add-ons, and colors. Really quick, the way that I will be using this is I will be gluing the back piece here into a journal so that it can be kind of a flip open surprise and have some really it just adds a fun element to your journals. If you guys enjoyed this video, thank you so much for watching, and make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. And of course, if you liked the kit that I used today, it is available to purchase in several different ways this month. So please check that out, and I will have everything linked in the description of this video. You guys have a wonderful day, and we will see you in our next tutorial. Goodbye.